What's up guys, Joe here with episode 3 of my Prelude series. It's probably going to be my favorite episode because today we are working on the paint. For those that don't know me, I am a detailer and have been professionally detailing for 7 years now. Now, one of the main reasons I chose to buy this Prelude over a few others at the time I was looking was it mentioned in the ad that it was recently repainted. Unfortunately, it was one of those cheap Matco type paint jobs. If you've seen a Matco paint job, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So the goal of today's video is to remove all the orange peel and see if we can't turn this cheap paint job into more of a show car quality status. If you are not sure what orange peel is or why they even call it that, just grab an orange and you'll see why. Before I begin, let me just say that this isn't something I would recommend anybody doing. Unless you have some experience in refinishing or detailing, removing texture by sanding could be quite difficult. Before doing any type of color correction, it is a good idea to test the paint's thickness to gauge whether it's safe enough to even do a color correction. The average OEM mil or microns I believe should read around 5 to 7. Anything lower than a 3 is a no-go on the buff. As this Prelude was recently repainted, and I was ecstatic that I measured an average of 9 to 10 microns on each panel. Be sure when testing each panel you check in different areas on that panel. So normally I prefer wet sanding by hand using an assortment of different sanding blocks and grits, but I was given a set of indasa sanding discs to test out, and this is a perfect opportunity to do that. If machine sanding, I'd also recommend using a DA palm sander, but at the time of filming this, my compressor that I chose for the garage hasn't arrived yet. I'll be starting with 1500 grit, then I'll step up to 2K grit, and then probably finish with 3000 grit. Okay, so right here, if you look at this area, you'll notice that it looks different from this area right here. This is your texture almost completely leveled, and this is partially leveled texture. Think of all these dots and dimples like dips and craters, and the flat finished areas are solid ground. Seeing as the goal is to remove the orange peel, you'd want to sand this a bit more. I started with 1500 grit and did a few passes, then moved up to 3000 grit to refine the finish. The common rule of sanding is if I do 5 passes with 1500 grit, then I'd want to do 10 passes with 3000 grit. The most common mistake people make when wet sanding is not refining the finish enough. It takes a bit more time, but trust me, when it comes time to buff, it'll be a lot easier and you'll get the results that you're after. I didn't bother taping anything because thanks to Matco, I have overspray all over the trim, the jambs, the windows, even the wheels got some paint on them. We will address those issues in a later episode of the Prelude series. Okay, now that we're done sanding, it's time to buff. I'll be using the smaller Torx DA polisher for the majority of this project, with the Meguiar's microfiber cutting pad and the M105 compound. Then I'll refine the finish with a red Hexlogic polishing pad and Meguiar's M205 polish. You can check out some of my other auto detailing videos right here on YouTube for more information on how I buff out a car. Now that looks a lot better now that the paint has been corrected. Now our next step is protecting the car. At the time of filming this video, I chose to use the new C-Quartz 3.0 ceramic coating. I chose to use this coating for a few reasons. One, it being a new formula or version that just came out, I wanted to see if it was any good. Second, it being more of a consumer-based coating, it can be easily removed later down the road to apply a different coating. C-Quartz recommends to put a few drops on the applicator, then work the product into the panel. I start with side-to-side passes, then finish up and down passes, as my theory is the last pass you'd want to be in the same direction you'd want dirt to travel, in this case, downwards. The flash time is pretty quick with this coating. I've had some other coatings that took a long time to flash. When you see this rainbow effect, that's when the product has flashed or is ready to be buffed off with a microfiber. After each ceramic coating, it is a smart idea to toss away the towels that you use to buff off the coating, as there is a small possibility the fibers can harden and you can scratch your paint. Alright guys, that's it for episode 3. We still have quite a lot to do to get this car where I want it, like the JDM one-piece headlights, the glass sunroof conversion, stereo, sound system, coilovers, and much more. So stay tuned and subscribe to my YouTube and stay looting, guys.